Hi my friends, how are you today? I hope you're having a great day so far. And we are back in our reading of the Spirit's book. We are at chapter 5, Considerations Concerning the Plurality of Existences. This is a huge chapter, so I'm going to divide it. And we start with the consideration number 222. Okay, so there you go. Some persons have stated that the doctrine of reincarnation is not new, that it was taken from Pythagoras. We have never said that the Spiritist doctrine is a modern invention, since it stems from the very laws of nature. Spiritism per se must obviously have existed since the beginning of time, and we have always sought to show that traces of it may be found in remotest antiquity. It is well known that Pythagoras was not the creator of the theory of metempsychosis, and by metempsychosis he says, he makes a note saying theory, through which the spirits who did not behave properly and nobly on earth must reincarnate as lower order animals. Okay, so that's what metempsychosis is. So it is well known that Pythagoras was not the creator of that theory. He took it from the Hindu philosophers and Egyptians who had believed in it from time immemorial. The idea of the transmigration of souls was therefore a common belief accepted by the most eminent individuals. By what road did this idea come from? What road come to them? But what road did this idea come to them? Was it by revelation or intuition? We do not know. Whatever the case may be, an idea could not have traversed the ages and have been accepted by the most advanced minds if there were not something to it. The ancientness of this doctrine should therefore be, if anything, a proof in its favor rather than an objection against it. However, it is equally known that between the metempsychosis of the ancients and the modern doctrine of reincarnation, there is this one main difference. The spirits absolutely reject the transmigration of human souls into animals and vice versa. In teaching the doctrine of the plurality of corporeal existences, the spirits have thus renewed a doctrine that was born during the earliest ages of the world and which has been preserved up to our time in the inmost thought of many persons. However, the spirits have presented it from a more rational point of view, more according to the progressive laws of nature, and more in harmony with the wisdom of the Creator, by divesting it of all the accoutrements of superstition. A point worth noting is that it is not only in this book that they have taught it recently. Even before it was published, numerous communications of the same nature had been received in many regions, and they have multiplied considerably since then. Moreover, it might be pertinent to examine why it is that not all the spirits seem to be in agreement regarding this doctrine. We shall revisit that issue later. But for now, let us examine the issue at hand from another angle. Apart from any revelations by the spirits, we shall put them aside for the moment and assume that this theory did not come from them at all. Let us even assume that we have never been pondered it together. We have never even pondered it together with the spirits. Let us instead place ourselves in a neutral position for the time being and accept the same degree of likelihood of truth, or both the hypothesis of the plurality of corporeal existences and that of a single existence, and let us see towards which side reason and our own interests will take us. Some individuals reject the idea of reincarnation for the simple reason that it is convenient to them. They declare that one existence is quite enough and that they have no desire to recommence a similar one. We even know persons who become infuriated at the simple thought of returning to the earth. We would ask them whether God ought to ask for their advice or consult their wishes in setting the universe in order. One of two possibilities applies. Either reincarnation is a fact or it is not. If it is, it's useless for these individuals to oppose it. They will have to undergo it without God asking for their permission. Opposing it would be the same as a sick man saying, "I've already suffered too much today. I don't want to suffer anymore tomorrow." No matter how unwilling he may be, he will not suffer any less tomorrow or in the days that follow until he is cured. Likewise, if those individuals must live again corporeally, they will do so. They will reincarnate. They will protest in vain like a child who does not want to go to school or a criminal condemned to prison, because they will have to reincarnate nevertheless. Objections of this type are too childish to deserve a more serious examination. However, in order to reassure such persons, we will state that the Spiritist doctrine of reincarnation is not as terrible as they might think, and that if they were to study it in depth, they would realize they have nothing to fear. They would understand that each new existence depends on themselves, that it will be happy or unhappy according to what they are doing in their present one. That from this life onwards, if they improve themselves to a certain degree, they will never have to fear falling back into the swamp. We will presume that we are addressing persons who believe in some kind of future after death, rather than those who believe that only nothingness awaits them, or those who wish to immerse their soul into the universal whole without preserving their individuality, like drops of rain falling into the ocean. If you believe in any kind of future at all, you certainly do not suppose that it will be the same for all, because that would imply that doing good during one's life would not matter in the end. In other words, why restrain ourselves? Why not satisfy our passion, all our passions, all our desires, even at the expense of others? If our future will be neither better or worse for it. If, on the other hand, you believe that the future will be happier or less happy according to what one does in life, would you not desire to make it as happy as possible, because it will have implications for all eternity? Do you, by any chance, fancy yourself as being one of the most perfect creatures who has ever walked the earth and thus have an immediate right to the bliss of the elect? I would not think so. Thus, without your having to consider yourself among the reprobate, you must admit that there are those who deserve more than you do, and who have a right to a better situation. Well then, mentally place yourself for a moment in that middle position, which, as you admit, you occupy at the moment. And imagine that someone says to you, "You suffer, you're not as happy as you could be, whereas there are others all around you who seem to enjoy perfect happiness. Would you like to trade your situation for theirs?" "Of course I would," you reply. "But what do I have to do?" "Almost nothing. Simply start over what you have done badly and try to do it better." Would you hesitate to accept this proposition, even if it cost you many lifetimes of trial? Let us make a more prosaic comparison. Suppose you were to say to a man who, although not in extreme poverty, is going through hard times due to his precarious resources. Just a moment. There is a huge fortune for you to enjoy. However, you must work hard for it for exactly 1 minute. If he were the laziest being on earth, he would not hesitate to say, "I'm willing to work for 1 minute, 2 minutes, an hour, and a whole day if necessary." What the difference would that make if my life will end up in abundance? Well then, what is the duration of one's corporeal life when compared to eternity? Less than a minute, less than a second. We sometimes hear this sort of reasoning. God, who is supremely good, would not impose on us the obligation to recommence another series of misfortunes and tribulations. Do they by any chance believe that God would show more kindness in condemning people to eternal suffering because of a few moments of error than in granting them the means to repair their wrongs? Two manufacturers each had a worker who aspired to partnership, but on one particular workday, both workers were unproductive and deserved to be fired. One of the manufacturers actually fired his workers despite his pleas, and since he was unable to obtain any other employment, he died in poverty. The other, however, said to his worker, "You have wasted a whole day, so you owe me compensation. You have performed badly, so you owe me reparation. However, I will let you start over tomorrow. If you perform well, I'll keep you. And you will be able to continue aspiring to the higher position I promised you." It is necessary to ask which of the two manufacturers was more humane. Then, would God, who is clemency itself, be more inflexible than a human? There is something poignant in the thought that our fate is sealed forever because of a few years of trial, and considering the fact that all our efforts are insufficient for reaching perfection while on earth, the opposite idea is eminently consoling, since it does not deprive us of hope. Therefore, without deciding either for or against the plurality of existences, and without favoring one hypothesis over the other, we will simply state that if the choice could be made, no one would prefer a sentence that could not be appealed. A philosopher once said that if God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent one for the contentment of humankind. The same could be said of the plurality of existences. As we stated previously, God does not ask for our permission, nor does God consult our preferences. Things either are or they're not. Based on such considerations, let us see on which side the odds might lie. Let us consider the matter from another point of view, still omitting the teaching of the spirits, and examine the issue solely as a philosophical endeavor. If there is no reincarnation, then it is obvious that there can be only one corporeal existence. Thus, if there is only one corporeal existence, then the soul of each individual must be created at birth, unless we accept the pre-existence of the soul. However, if that were the case, then we would have to ask what the soul was before birth, and if such a pre-existent state would not comprise an existence of some kind of order. There is no middle ground. Either the soul existed before the body or it did not. If it existed, what was its situation? Did it or did it not possess self-awareness? If it did not, that would be about the same as saying that it did not exist at all. However, if it did, was its individuality progressive or stationary? In either case, what was the situation when it joined the body? According to the common belief, which assumes that the soul is born at the same time as the body, or likewise, that before incarnation it possessed only negative faculties, we must ask the following questions. And the questions and what the answers are, or what the thoughts are about the questions, I'll talk about tomorrow. And I'll leave you today for now. I wish you guys a great day. God bless you all. Big kiss. Bye bye.